if you have a collection with LVNV funding or you have a debt collection lawsuit with LVNV funding, you're going to want to stay tuned to this video. And also, if you have any debt collections from any debt collectors or lawsuits from any debt collectors, you're going to want to pay attention to this video. It's very important. Debt collectors, you need to know your rights when dealing with debt collectors. And I love making these types of videos because it is like sleight of hand, like a magician, the way that these debt collectors will violate your rights without you even really knowing it. It is very easy to know if someone is saying something offensive to you, that they're violating your rights according to the Fair Debt Collectors Practices Act. But these debt collectors actually violate, allegedly, because I want to maintain, make sure that we don't do anything to put the company in jeopardy. But allegedly, in my opinion, debt collectors are violating your rights if you have any debts or you're being sued in court by these debt collectors. Now, LVNV funding has been accused and even sued for violating debtors' protection laws. And these protection laws are part of the Fair Debt Collectors Practices Act and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, what are some of the violations that they are on record? So these are not my opinion. These are on record on what representatives for LVNV funding have done. They have made threatening phone calls to debtors, threatening to take action that they were not intended to take. They've been using obscenity and profane language against debtors over the phone. Now, I want to be clear. If someone cusses you out on the phone, of course you would know that that's something that is against the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, because that's like harassing you. But let me tell you how they harass you so you can understand what harassment means according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They cannot call you and say, oh, why don't you pay your bills? They cannot call your neighbors and say, we're trying to get in touch with Steve so he can pay his bill, or we need to get in touch with Steve because he hasn't been paying his bill. Or they can't call your job and ask for your boss and say, well, Steve hasn't been calling us back. This is LVNV funding, and your boss types in who is LVNV funding, and then they go and look up, oh, that's a debt collector, if they don't already know it already. They can't do those types of things. So they're not going to straight up just call and cuss you out. There have been debt collection companies that have done that, but I don't believe LVNV funding would be that dirty to try to call you and cuss you out over the phone. But they will call you and say, well, don't you think it would be wise to pay your bills? By them stating it just the way that I just stated to you right there, that is a violation of the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, because they're not supposed to sit there and try to make judgments against you on why you are or why you're not paying your bills. That is something that's going on with you. All they have to do is, what they're supposed to do is remain professional and just try to see if you are going to pay the bill, or if you want to make any arrangements on paying the bill, or if you want to dispute the bill itself, any or all of it. Another thing that they're doing is that they cannot contact anyone, and I just kind of stated that, no one to try to get any general information, location, or none of that stuff. They will try to pull that stunt a lot, where they're fishing, trying to find where a person is at. Another thing is that they're not allowed to disclose any of the details to your employers or other co-workers, anyone. Another thing is that they're not allowed to call you during unusual hours. Usually, it's going to be 8 to 8 p.m. Some states allow to 9 p.m. They cannot withhold information. This is a good one. If you watch my videos in the past, I talked about where if a debt collector calls you and you are not familiar, you have not received a debt collection letter from them, the number one thing that you should ask them is you should say, send that information to me in the mail. Because when they do that, which they're supposed to have done that first, but some of the times they may not be able to locate you by address, so they're going to call you, or they're going to try to save some money and call you first. It is a violation if they try to move forward with you over the phone about that debt. They have to send you that letter first to give you the opportunity to, number one, know who the original creditor is, who they are and how they got it, and the opportunity to dispute any or all of the debt. They have to give you that opportunity first. But they can flip it around by you talking to them, which is, don't get me wrong, it is not bad to talk to them, but you're not going to attest to any part of the debt. What you're going to do is you're going to tell them to send it to you in writing, so then you can start with the proper dispute process of them in the validation process to make sure that they even have a right to come after you for the debt. The next thing is sending debt collection letters that are falsely appeared to be court documents or government documents. All debt collection companies have to put their debt collection letter, their template, on file with the CFPB. And if they go anywhere outside of the bounds of that, they are in violation, number one, of the document that they said that they're going to send out for debts that they purchased. And then number two, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, because they're sending out a document that's falsely misrepresenting them as a government agency. And it makes it look like it's a government agency. Lvnv funding, it states here that Lvnv funding in the past, I don't believe that they're doing that currently, has threatened to have debtors arrested. Now, I want to give some clarification on this. Debt collectors can have you arrested if they sue you and you don't show up to court and you do not answer the debtor's examination. They can put a warrant out for your arrest. They call it a body warrant, to have you come in and attest to how you're going to pay the debt. They can do that. That is being done in multiple states. I have videos on my channel that show you the states where judges have authorized arrest warrants for debtors who did not come in and participate in the debtor's examination. A debtor's examination is where a debt collector who has a judgment against you, they're going to want to know how you're going to pay the debt. They want to look at your financial situation so they can kind of put together their plan on how they're going to go after you to pay the debt. They might say that they're going to garnish your bank account, garnish assets, or garnish your wages. They're basically just putting together all of the data to see how they're going to do that. So if you have debt collectors like Lvnv funding coming after you, either trying to collect from you or they are trying to sue you in court, I need you to go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. We can help you out with either one of those situations. In the live chat box, what I want you to do is to put your information in there. Let me know if it's Lvnv funding. Is it just a simple debt collection letter that they sent you, or because we can potentially get that stopped, or if it's a debt collection lawsuit, we can help you win your case. So go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. Links are below this video. Go to the live chat and put your information in there. We have to, you cannot stand still. Don't stand still, because just because you stand still and do nothing doesn't mean that they're going to stand still and do nothing. All of a sudden, you could have a knock at your door for a lawsuit, or you could have a knock at your door due to a debtor's examination where they want you to answer those questions to see if they're going to garnish your wages, if they're going to garnish your bank account, or if they're going to try to take assets from you. And before I close out, when it comes to assets, I made a video not too long ago. I encourage you to go and watch that video also to see how debt collectors will actually take assets that are paid, that are not paid for. One of the protections that a lot of people felt that they had was if they had an automobile and it wasn't paid off, there's no one who's going to try to take that asset because it's not paid off. Well, what they're doing is they're doing a debtor's examination on the assets. And if the assets are worth more than what's owed on the assets, they can pay off that asset, take control of the asset, will pay it off, take control, and then resell it. And even if they're not getting the full amount of what's owed, they're getting a portion of it, and then they can try to do garnishment of bank account or garnishment of wages. So my alert to everyone is not to leave this stuff out there for them to be able to do these types of things to you. If you have debt collectors who are, number one, coming after you early, or you have debt collectors that are trying to sue you, go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com, type in the live chat your situation, your number, and we will follow up with you. If you're being sued or a debt collection letter, if you want to speed up the process, put that information in that live chat. There's a spot for you to upload it so we can get in touch with you to let you know how we can help you. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video What Makes Us Different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. It has everything on there. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations letter, debt validation letter, and cease and desist collection activities letter. Subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments, like this video. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.